Okay, what's up, guys? Good morning. This is a pretty early episode for us. Welcome back to episode 4 of the KnightCASTle. I am your host, Demetrious Montero, my co host,
Matthew Feldman, welcome back.
and we are the UCF sports writers of the UCF Roundtable on roundtable.io. We'll drop the QR code toward the end of the episode so you guys can, read our articles and make community posts. But today we're going to do a little bit of a recap on the space game for football and UCF and men's basketball's loss to Vanderbilt. When was that game again? It was
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah. It was the
Yeah,
day after Space
yeah.
Game.
And we'll talk about some injury news that came out in football that happened during the space game. And tonight at 7, UCF is facing Florida A&M. So we'll also have a little bit of a preview on Florida A&M for the basketball guys tonight. So first, we'll start with the space game. It was the 9th annual space game, and the Knights could not secure
Yeah.
their 9th straight victory. They lost in heartbreaking fashion. So Matthew, what are your thoughts on the space game, and what are some of your takeaways?
Yeah. First of all, definitely a tough loss um, for the history of the game, one, but also this season individually. Um, we need to find two wins to make a bowl now. Two of our last three games are against ranked opponents, BYU, Texas Tech, both on the road. We haven't won a road game yet. Uh, Oklahoma State, they're struggling. They're our third game. That should be, I don't want to say a gimme, but almost as much of a gimme as we've had since the beginning of the year. So we need to find a game in those two, which is going to be tough. But yeah, definitely heartbreaking. In the moment, the fourth quarter last drive when Taven was replaced, I didn't understand what was going on. Frost said that he had a hamstring injury after the game, and they were getting after the quarterback. So I understand if he was immobile, then you got to make a change. You got to have somebody in there that's gonna be able to make a guy miss and throw. For Davi, just a tough spot to be thrown into. Uh, I mean, a lot of pressure on your shoulders. I think he did pretty good getting us in territory, but obviously he needs a couple more reps throwing the football because. And I've seen people blowing up Frost for that play call, but I like the play call. I mean, it's we're in field goal range. That's literally the only thing that we can't do is throw the pick. And if he threw it a little earlier to Speedy Thomas, then we might be sitting here talking about what a great play call, Davi Belfort. It'd be a different story. So um, definitely stinks that we couldn't get it done. But I I don't want to get too down because I feel like these guys are starting to buy into what Frost is saying. I like his responses after the game. He talked about how it's going to take time to change a culture. I all year and even before the season, the players were preaching honesty, that he's been honest with them, and that they feel like they're enjoying the process. I know the D tackle that spoke, I think it's RJ Thomas Jr. or something like that.
Jay Jackson Jr.
Yeah, yeah. He was talking about how even though he hasn't played much, he's had such a great experience learning, and I feel like we didn't have that in the years past with prior leadership. I feel like it was always people pointing the finger. By this time last year, we had countless red shirts, countless people announcing transfers. It seems like Frost is retaining people. It seems like they respect him. It seems like they like playing for him. So in the long run, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. I like his candid answers, not, ducking around the question, wishy washy. We did this okay. So I think in the long run, he's doing the right thing. It just, it's going to take some time.
Hmm. Yeah. Space game was pretty much a back and forth. Uh, a little bit of an uneventful first quarter. UCF was up 3-0 with a field goal, but that second quarter, it was turnover heavy. Lord have mercy.
Mhm.
Houston had a muffed punt that put UCF that Jaden McDonald recovered, and it put UCF in red zone territory, and it was easy for Miles Montgomery to punch in a 1-yard touchdown rush. And You had that muffed punt, and then you had a Taven interception that went for a pick six. You had Connor Wayman throw a pick six in the second quarter as well, picked off by Philip Dunham 3 times that game. Dunham is the first night to have 3 interceptions in a game, so he played out of body. That was kind of, what we alluded to last episode with the space game, where, you know, players in the team kind of play out of body. That was what it was for Philip Dunham. 3 interceptions. Never really seen a guy have 3 interceptions in a game, especially like he did. Felt like he was a ball hawk, and he always burdened Wayman with an interception. He had one toward the end of the first quarter, obviously in the second quarter, and then I think his third one came in the third quarter.
Mhm.
So for your defense to generate turnovers, that's a good thing, but you have to capitalize on them. I think we only capitalized on half of the 4 turnovers the um, the Knights created, and to win the turnover battle but lose the game, that's a bit difficult because typically when you win the turnover battle, you win the game because you have more possessions, more time of possession with the ball, etc. But UCF's offense has struggled to put together long drives, and that's been an issue throughout the season. Against Houston, they had 6 3 and outs, and 3 and outs, that's like 45 seconds a minute of
Yep.
game time. Like you're going 3 plays and punting the ball in 45, 45 seconds to a minute. Whereas Houston, they're having, 5 6 7 plays, no pun intended. But they're having, sort of medium to long drives, and they have 3 minute drives, 5 minute drives, 6 minute drives. And over the course of a game, that adds up. Houston had 35 minutes of possession, which is almost 10 minutes more than what the Knights had. The Knights had 24. They were about to be 25. So your the inability to put together long drives sucks because you're not putting yourself in position to score. Like you're not even putting yourself in position to get a field goal.
Yep.
And that matters when you lost the game by a field goal. Now, I understand, Coach Frost goes with a bold decision to put Davi into the game. Davi Belfort, redshirt freshman. When Ja'Curry Brown was on the sideline, he said that Ja'Curry was an emergency quarterback. But to go with Davi in that situation was interesting. When I was watching the game, I was like, Davi's in the game?
Yeah.
Like that's an interesting and shocking change at quarterback, especially when you don't know what's wrong with Taven at the moment, until after the post game when he reveals he had a hamstring injury, and that's what sidelined him in the fourth quarter. But Davi did well in that last drive. Uh, Knights did pick up a couple flags to put them back, but Belfort was able to run away from the Cougars defense, make guys miss, and be able to regain those lost yards. And that play call to end the game, I, I mean, like you said, I think it was good. He underthrew him. Belfort underthrew Speedy Thomas, and unfortunately, it was a game-sealing interception. But I think in that moment, you trust Davi because he's earned your trust in those limited moments when he's making, that 19-yard run, that 17-yard run. And it's like he's breaking through the struggles UCF had throughout the game.
Right.
6 3 and outs. But in his lone drive, when it's a third and long, he's converting that third and long.
Mhm.
When it's a second 15, he's converting that second and 15. So he's erasing the mistakes that you make on the offensive end. But that's another thing too. UCF needs to stop having penalties. They need to stop picking up penalties. 9 penalties for 75 yards. That's been a theme the entire season. They've always preached we have to stop getting penalties. We have to mitigate this. We have to mitigate that. Right. And the message is getting through to the players and the media, but on the field, you're always picking up these ticky-tack penalties. False start here.
Right.
Dylan Wade had a holding penalty in, I think it was the second quarter. No, it was in the first quarter. It was in the first quarter. He caught a 23-yard catch from Taven Jackson that put them at the Cougars' 12-yard line. So you're in red zone territory. And then the next play, you pick up a holding penalty, 10 yards. Now you're slightly outside the red zone.
Yep.
That's why you hit a field goal. I'm not going to say you score if you don't have that holding penalty, but you've made scoring much more harder on yourselves. And you can't have that in a game where, it's back and forth. And you could look at any possession and go, yeah, that may have changed the game, you
Right.
know? So
Mhm.
I think it's heartbreaking that you lose in such fashion. Like you throw out your redshirt freshman and he throws a pick, kind of erases all the good things he's done. Um, but it's good that the team and the coaches were able to, hold his head up and, encourage him because he did go out there and put the team in position to score. I think even if Houston didn't intercept the ball, you have Noah Relas kicking a field goal, and I think he made 2 in the game.
Mm.
So and that's not far of a field goal. I think that's probably like 35, 40 yards, and
Yep.
for him, that's probably easy money. So you could go to overtime if you don't get picked off, but I mean, you get picked off, you lose. That's second straight loss. You you lose the, I don't know what to call the, like the darling space game.
Mm.
Undefeated 8 years straight, ninth year. This comes crashing down.
Yep.
But the team has to prepare for Texas Tech on the road, and that's going to be a tough challenge,
Yep.
especially with the injuries they suffered in the space game. Barring Taven, you know who else got injured?
Miles, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Miles Montgomery got injured. Uh, it was after his touchdown.
Mm.
Yeah, shoulder injury. Third quarter, on the TV, the announcer was saying, he was ruled out for the game. You see he has the like armrest on.
Right.
So, Miles is out. Um, Jaden McDonald suffered I think it was a leg injury. He was helped off by the trainers. Nigel Lee Kelly also suffered a left leg injury. He was seen in a walking boot on the sidelines. Um, Malachi Lawrence and Braden Marshall were also injured in the game. They were down for a bit, and then they got up and walked off on their own willpower. So we don't know the extent of their injuries, how severe they are yet. Coach Frost hasn't revealed that, not in yesterday's presser. Um, so I think it's just tough to go into Lubbock, Texas, with injuries, especially most of those injuries being to your front line. You've already lost Horace Lockett Jr. and Sincere Edwards for the season, so losing more guys than that, in your front four, it absolutely is devastating. So, what are your thoughts on the injuries and how the Knights can overcome those injuries going into Texas Tech?
Yeah. I mean, definitely not ideal. Playing the best team in the Big 12, in my opinion, the best defense in the country. Um, we're gonna need all hands on deck. Uh, Lubbock is a tough place to play. I saw a video of their student section. They get real rowdy. There's fire. It's a tough place to walk into and get a win. So, I mean, we're gonna need all hands on deck. I hope. I'm most worried about Miles because of their defense, and we need difference makers that are gonna be able to gash them for 6 or 7 yards here or there. And the defense, I mean, I think they've done a good job next man up. There hasn't really been much of a drop off position to position. Now, of course, if Lawrence and Nigel can't go, that's two big losses. But I'm confident that they'll be able to hold their own and keep us in the game. It's just going to be, can the offense get a rhythm? And going back to what you were talking about with those penalties, like it's just tough for an offense to, let's say, like you said, get to the 12-yard line. Now you're on a short field and you have 12 yards to score, one first down, basically. And now you get a holding penalty. Now you're 20 yards back. And now it's essentially 2nd and 20. And you have to get to the end zone on a short field. And it's just tough. We don't have the high power offense to bounce back from those penalties. We just don't. We need to be ahead of the chains. We need to picking up 4 or 5 yards on first down, setting up 2nd and short. That opens up our ability to take those shot plays like we saw against West Virginia, 4th and short. They don't know what to do because we've been running the ball so well. We can run it, we can pass it, we can play action, throw it deep. We have to be ahead of the chains. When we really struggle when first down we pick up a yard or it's an incompletion and now we're 2nd and long, that's when our drives stall out. So um, I think some of that does have to do with play calling, just not running the ball up the middle every first down. I I watch my Bucks do it all the time too, and I'm just like, why are you continuing to beat a dead horse? Like we struggle short yardage, we struggle up the middle with our interior linemen. So how about we get our guys in space? Or how about I mean, if Belfort's out there, that opens up a whole new bag of tricks that we can use with his legs. But um, I mean, I'd like to see Taven back in for Texas Tech. He struggled on the road. I'd love to see him have a game and we go in there and shock the world. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what Coach Frost wants to do. He wants to go in there, shock the world, shock the world. He said it means more to like go on the road, fight through something difficult, and come out victorious.
Yep.
So that's the goal. And if you win against Texas Tech, obviously it's a huge upset. That's what the media is going to talk about. But for those keeping up with UCF sports, it's you now have one more game to make bowl contention. The last time the Knights made a bowl game was 2023, and funnily enough, that's when they had their last ranked win against Oklahoma State.
Mhm.
So you definitely want to go into Texas Tech with the confidence to win. You almost have to perform perfectly to have a chance against Texas Tech. And if you do so and win, you have one more game for to make the postseason. So that's all for space game breakdown, a little bit on some injuries for Knights players, and next we're gonna do a little bit of analysis on the men's basketball's loss to Vanderbilt. Matthew, you were the game on that a couple days ago. What were your thoughts and takeaways from the Vanderbilt game?
Yeah. Well, my first takeaway was that Vandy is a very good team. They're offensively gifted. They have a lot of guys that can shoot it. Everyone on the court, I think, made a three when I was there watching. Um, we gave up 10 first half threes. It's going to be hard to bounce back from any performance where we're giving up 10 threes in the first half. But they were knocking them down. I mean, were some wide open, sure, but some of them, they just couldn't miss. And they had a lot of their guards were doing a good job getting downhill, straight line drives. Once again, Riley Kugel kept us in the game with his first half performance. He can really shoot it, and not just catch and shoot. Like he's definitely our best shot creator. Um, he had 25, led the team in scoring, led the game in scoring. But Vandy had multiple people over 17 points. I think both of their guards scored 20, or Miles scored 20, and then Taylor scored 17. The nickel who had 20 in their opener, he had 17, and I mean, it seemed like he didn't miss. Every time he shot a three, he was dropping. Um, we struggled to get a stop. After the game, they said that they went into the locker room and uh, wanted to focus on chasing them off the 3-point line, which they did. Their 3-point percentage dropped in the second half, but their guards adjusted and they started getting downhill, kick out, getting to the rim, getting to the free throw line. They're a really good team. I mean, they made March Madness last year. I would be very surprised if they don't return this year. Um, but once again, we have to buy in on the defensive end. Um, the offense was good. We scored 93 points. If we score 93 points, we should win. if we're playing good defense, which some of it was just them hitting shots, but some of it was bad defense. So moving into FAMU, I'm confident that we can get a bounce back win, but definitely would have liked to start off 2-0.
Yeah. When I was looking at the stats, one thing that stood out to me was the first and second half scores. Vanderbilt, I think they won the first half by definitely more than double digits, and I think UCF won the second half. So it's again a tale of two halves for the team. It's something that happened in the exhibition matches where you're good first half, bad first half, good second half, or bad second half. You don't really put together a complete game to give yourself a shot at winning, and that's what you need to do. You can't go down, double digits and have to claw your way out because especially when the opposing team has multiple guys scoring more than, you know, 15 points and they're adjusting when you adjust, at that point it becomes a game of adjustments. You got to adjust to their adjustments to your adjustments, etc. So that comes down to coaching and the players executing the game plan. So it's up to, UCF tonight to execute on both ends of the floor and put together a complete a complete game where it's not just about winning the first half, it's about putting together a good product out there on the floor, driving kick, it driving kick, get to the rim, making your free throws, making the right passes when you're on defense, rotating, communicating, switching, just the little things that matter on both ends of the floor. You ought to be able to stack those together to make good possessions. And that's how you have a complete game. It's not just, oh, you outscored them by 15 in the first half. I mean, sure, you look at that and say, yeah, they did, but it's more, yeah, we're rotating, we're getting the stops, we're getting rebounds, we're making the shots we want to make, we're making the right decisions. So that's what UCF needs to do is put together a complete game because they're halfway there. They're always halfway there. It's always which half is good for UCF, the first half or the second half. So once they put together a complete game, I think that's where it goes the ceiling of the team will raise a little bit because Kugel seems to be consistent, right? He seems to be a very consistent scoring threat, score from anywhere on the court, whether it's a pull up three, coming off a screen and driving downhill, getting to the free throw line. So you got to be able to capitalize on having such a consistent scorer like Kugel. And some of the other guys who may not score at a high clip like Google does, but still able to contribute, like
Yep.
Burks, who's a shooter, Joyceville Jr., who's a shooter, Stillwell, putting in some points here and there. So it's imperative for the Knights to put together a complete game. And I know FAMU isn't the best team in the college basketball atmosphere, but regardless, whether you're going up against a top 5 ranked team or an unranked team, you got to be able to put together a complete game. So we'll see if the Knights can do that tonight. And make sure you guys check out for Matthews Gamer on FAMU. That'll be out probably tonight, tomorrow morning. And we'll link that in the description on Friday's episode when, when we're breaking that game down. But any other news, any other things that you've come across that you want to talk about?
Well, just one more thing about the basketball season. Dawkins played 12 guys last game, so he's clearly still looking for, what rotations work. I want to give a shout out to Chris Johnson. He made his season debut, his Knights debut. He only played 3 games. He was in and out of practice. He was injury prone last year. But as a freshman, he was at Texas, and he was formerly a top 50 recruit in the 2023 class. Um, so he can play. He just has had, an injury riddled career. But he made his season debut. He scored 17 and had 5 assists off the bench. Um, he, I think he was 4 of 4 from three, or 4 of 5. He was shooting it. Um, And they asked him after the game, like, he was playing a lot of point guard, that kind of role, and he said he really only played point guard in high school, but if that's what the team needs, that's what the team will get. Because I mean, Kugel's going to be the combo guard. He's going to be the scorer. We need a guy who's going to get him the ball in places where he wants to be, get him to a spot. So it's good to see that we have guys like that tucked away on the bench. We'll see if he gets improved playing time tonight. I'm sure he will. But like you said, I really don't want to see a squeak by 8-point loss or 8-point win. That this should be a dominant win. I mean, and that's something that teams need for confidence. Like, we can't we should not be close with this team. They average less than 70 points per game and they give up 97. They lost by 35 to our little brother in Tampa, USF, and they also lost to Kennesaw State. So, I mean, I expect us to come out ready to play, but I'd like to see a comfortable win.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely want that. Start season 201 and continue to build off what you put on the court and continue to find the guys you're most comfortable with playing, the rotations you're most comfortable with using, and yeah, just have that for the rest of the season. But that'll bring a close to episode 4. I mean, episode 5. I don't know if I said episode 5 at the beginning of the episode. I hope I did. But that'll bring a close to episode 5 of the Night Castle. I'm your host, Demetrious Montero, my co-host,
Matthew Feldman.
and we're the UCF sports writer of the UCF Roundtable. Here's the QR code for you guys to scan if you are on another device like your iPad or computer, or you're watching on a big screen TV. I don't know, but make sure you guys scan that QR code, read our stories, and create an account so you could join the community and make community posts on anything you see. It could be an interesting fact about Riley Google or an interesting fact about Coach Frost.
Mhm.
Just scan the QR code, interact with us, interact with the community, and we'd love to interact with you guys. And last but not least, as every content creator does, make sure you like and subscribe. Turn on the bell notifications so that you get notifications when we drop our episodes. We were a bit busy yesterday, so that's why Monday's episode wasn't available. But today is in place of Monday's episode, and then we'll have a short turnaround for Friday's episode where we'll break down the text. You'll preview Texas Tech. We'll break down the FAMU game and any other news that happens in the short time span. But we appreciate you guys for watching us again and tuning in. So we'll see you guys on Friday, and peace.
See you guys.